Appreciate everyone coming. Great turnout. Sean Starr, the Communications Manager for the city's Vibrant Community and Neighborhoods Work System, and that's a long way of saying Parks and Golf. And so we have members of the city team here tonight, as well as the design consultant team. And we kind of switched things up a little bit. First, we were going to do a presentation and then more of a breakout session, but we're just going to do the presentation and then hold your questions to the end of the presentation, and then we'll take questions at the end. We have a survey that we launched today for this project, and that's going to be the best way to capture your feedback about this project. There's QR codes on the slides, on some flyers around the tables, and it's also just a simple URL, lakearborsurvey.org is where you can take that survey and provide your feedback. Ask that everyone be courteous and respectful. We're here to listen to you. We're here to get your feedback. No decisions have been made about any of the facilities that we'll be discussing tonight. We just want to provide an introduction about what we're doing and hear the feedback from our community. So I think we're aiming about 20 minutes for the presentation, about 10 minutes on the Lake Arbor Center side and 10 minutes on the golf course side of things. And so I'll hand it over to Chad Hollingsworth. He's our senior landscape architect and the project manager for the Lake Arbor Center master plan. Chad.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks everyone for coming tonight. We've got a great crowd. Tonight we're here to just get your feedback on this project. We're doing a master plan study, which originally was intended to be for the Lake Arbor Center. Sorry. I'll try and get it the right distance. But we originally started this project to study the Lake Arbor Center, the pool and community center that is a partnership with the city and Apex. And it evolved into, we wanted to take a more comprehensive look at the whole Lake Arbor community, including the golf course. So we added that to our design team scope, and so we can put together, like I said, a comprehensive plan for the next 50 years for these city-owned assets. They're very successful. I think they're much loved, and we understand that. And we're not here to make any changes. We're here again to listen to you and get your input. But the only funding that's been allocated for this project is for the master planning and the community input survey. So having said that, we're going to kind of go through the existing amenities and talk about how they've, some of them have exceeded their lifespan. We need to start planning and budgeting for the next 50 years. So having said that, again, thank you for coming. And I'm going to hand it off to our design team. Well, I'm sorry, let me give a little more background information. I have my notes up here. For those who don't know, at the Lake Arbor Center, we have a community center that has a preschool, pre-K program that some of our residents take advantage of, as well as a pretty robust pool program that Apex Parks and Recreation manages for us. That, again, is how this project started, was the pool was leaking, and so we did some short-term fixes to it. But we need to think a little bit longer term than that. Both of these facilities were built in the 70s, and having said that, again, this is the long-term strategy, and we have our design team, which includes, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, but we got Design Concepts, Collab Architecture Studio, CKA. We've got Hillary from Apex here. We got a bunch of folks, so feel free to reach out to us and ask questions. And on that note, I'm going to hand off the microphone.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here again. We really appreciate it. We're really looking forward to hearing all of your input on this as we start on this project. Sorry, I'll do my best. Not use the microphones either. My name is Shannon Weber with Design Concepts. We're a landscape architect firm out of Lafayette, and we're leading the project with this one with the City of Arvada. So I'm going to start by just really presenting to you the site right now, and then I'll hand it off to the rest of the team to do their part in the presentation. So as you guys all really probably are very familiar with this is really the Lake Arbor golf course, and as Chad was describing, the Lake Arbor Center. So you can kind of see the boundaries that we're all working with, and you guys can understand understand what we are looking at, and understand the property that goes with it. This is the little area that I was just showing you guys. It's blue over there in that bigger map. This is just really a blow up of the Arbor Center. It includes the Arbor Center building, which is this right here. That includes everything that Chad was talking about with the preschool and the adjacent pool, the tennis courts. There's the playground right there. The parking lot coming in. Parking lot coming into the site. Right now there's a big athletic field with a backstop. So this area that you see boundaried in red is what we're going to be looking at in master planning for this project. One more. Okay, the other thing we wanted to do too is we had to really understand everybody and all the different HOAs that are a part of this project. We put together a map that really just kind of lays out all the HOAs that are within this area. So there's Castlegate Apartments, Lake Arbor Fairways, there's District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Lake Arbor HOA, and of course the Arbor Green Townhomes. So for us as a team, it was just a very valuable tool, a map that we could use as we work through this. But we also wanted to bring it to you guys and bring it to your attention too, so you can see how many HOAs are really a part of this project. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Ainsley.
Thank you. Hi everybody, Ainsley Havenridge, and I'll be the project manager alongside Shannon, and we've got Annie over there who's running the slides. She's Arvada. Thank you, Annie. And again, we're all the landscape architects, so we love parks and we love site improvements. So we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys to everybody. So this is going to be just a really preliminary site analysis, and essentially we are just looking at all the existing amenities, all the systems in place, the pedestrian circulation, the vehicular circulation, and how everything works together. So it's really just a simple analysis of what's existing. So here, I'll walk over on this side so you can see the legend a little bit. Anything that's in green is going to be this adjacent golf course that we are right adjacent to right now, everybody knows and loves. Anything that's in the purple is going to be the Lake Arbor Center, again, that Shannon was talking about earlier. That's going to be our project site specifically. Anything that's in the dotted blue is going to be our pedestrian circulation. That's essentially just going to be existing sidewalks throughout the area. And then anything in pink is our vehicular circulation, all the roads. And we're also highlighting the parking lot that's right here that exists, as well as any of the existing trees and landscape that are throughout the site. Next slide. These photos, in case you're not familiar with the Lake Arbor Center itself, these are all existing conditions, existing amenities. So over on the left-hand side, you'll see the front entrance. Right here, you'll see, hopefully you can see this from back there. I apologize if you can't. We've got all the same boards printed so you can come up afterwards and see everything. We've got the athletic field, the baseball field with fencing. We've got tennis courts. We've got this great pool. All the images in the middle here are all of the existing pool. There's a pretty new playground. I think it was installed in 2022. So that's right here. And then also we just wanted to highlight currently the pool mechanics, essentially the pump equipment, right? The mechanical system for the pool. It's all housed outside, which isn't ideal. So something we're going to look at in the master plan would be housing that in a facility or in a building. Next slide. And then this is the fun one. This is where we get really excited as designers. So these are all our precedent images, and essentially that's just inspirational stuff that we're looking at, right? So if we're talking about a preschool, we're going to be really concerned with pedestrian circulation and safety. We're going to start looking at painted games and preschool-specific age equipment, maybe nature play, maybe preschool gardening. Again, we're going to look at a new pool and what amenities that might include, slides, zero entry features, things like that. And then because there's also green space, we want to start to consider, what would be conducive for outdoor group fitness, for camps that might gather, for groups of families and friends who want to play sports. Again, we're going to be really concentrated on trail connections because this is such a neighborhood amenity, as well as shaded seating and maybe rentable pavilions, And then this one in the end is really exciting to think about, how we can engage the community in the surrounding neighborhood. And maybe we could do that through something like a community mural where everyone in the area can get together and help paint a facade of the building, perhaps. So these are, again, our exterior inspirational photos. And with that, I will pass it off to Chris.
Hi there, everyone. Good evening. My name is Chris Kostelik. I'm Collab Architects, and I'm a recreation architect. So across Colorado, my focus for almost 30 years has been planning and designing pools and recreation centers. So this is something that I'm very passionate about. I also want to talk about the activities and amenities at the Lake Arbor Center, and that's what I'm hoping you all can help guide us tonight as we start talking about the things that happen at this building, that happen in and around this building. I also have an activity that I'm going to set up here in a second. I'm going to pass it around, but I want to give you a little bit of a view of what the existing building is doing, and then maybe, as Ainsley just presented, maybe what some of the interior activities might be. And so, as you can see, we have a front entrance to the building. It's not very well called out, not a lot of shade, not a lot of pizzazz to the building. It's a nice scale, quality building, but it's probably seen its better days. It does have a front entry, fairly cramped, but it really serves preschool. That's really the day-to-day use of this building, is the couple of preschool classrooms. Poor kids have to leave the classroom and walk outside the classroom to use bathrooms or go to any of the kitchen amenities or have food served. So we'd like to have all that in one place if possible, so that staff doesn't have to do that. And we can certainly be more efficient too. But the whole point of this facility is to really serve the pool, change rooms and locker rooms, and improve some of those amenities as well, because let's face it, they're pretty tired as well. Go to the next one. So this is what we envision, and again, I'm not giving you any ideas other than some food for thought. It'd be wonderful to improve that preschool classroom experience for the users in the community that do bring their children here. It might be nice to have a more useful community gathering space, maybe something similar to this. That's something we might want to think about. A better lobby experience so that we can handle more people coming to this building and gathering and maybe getting out of the sun and in the shade. Also looking at change rooms. And then expanded locker rooms, and maybe even a meeting space. Maybe that community space doubles as a meeting space. And if there's anything else you can think of that would be important at this facility, we'd love to hear about it. And so that kind of gives you a picture of what we're trying to accomplish both around the site and within the building. I'm going to tee this up right now, because I think the next step is to talk about the golf, and I want to get this passed out and everyone be thinking about this. So what I have here, I think I have enough. So this is a postcard that says, "Greetings from beautiful Arvada, Colorado." And on the back, I would like you to imagine yourself 5 years in the future. And we've built all these wonderful things on this complex. We've improved the park environment. We built this new Arvada Center. And I want you to write a postcard to your present day self telling me why you loved that building. What was it about it? Did it have a particular amenity? Did it have a particular look to it? Was there something special about that building that spoke to you? So conjure up your future selves and tell us about the building that we all built together. So I'll pass these out. Hopefully we have enough pens floating around, and we'll go from there. So, postcard from the future. All right. Yeah, I will. I think it's awesome. Okay, I've got one more thing to talk about here. Sorry for the chatter. We'll keep handing these out. I realized the one other important thing I need to share, and I was reminded that I failed at my newscaster training. I also want to outline the process. So this is sort of a look across the calendar from basically the beginning of the project. Here we are right now in the middle of February. We're at our first open house, so we've done nothing. Here to listen. Then we have some planning to do through the next several months. We'll have another community open house probably mid to late April. Probably come back and share with you some of our ideas, some of our concepts, and some of the drawings and plans that go along with the process. By that point, we'll have some of the feedback from the survey that's going to tell us what the community's looking for. We'll take all of that information, all the feedback from the second open house, all the feedback from the survey, work through some final plans, and then we will have a final presentation both on the golf course information as well as anything that's come from the Lake Arbor Center master plan. So the process basically takes us basically through June to complete all of the planning that we're going to be doing. So this won't be the last opportunity to talk, and it won't be the last opportunity to see the progress of the project.
Question.
Yes.
Okay, you already have it's in the plan, you got a lot planned already. There's a lot planned here. It sounds like it's pretty much set and done. This is not gonna be a Margaret Carpenter.
No.
rec
Oh, no.
center That's huge with all sorts of space. This is a small little space here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people here that play golf that are seniors.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. You wanna fix the little area there that was the Lake Arbor little center right there? Fix it up a
Yeah,
little bit.
great comment. I think you're exactly
But I
right.
mean, you're gonna make it huge. It sounds like it's gonna be huge.
Oh, no. Let me repeat the question. I'll repeat the question, and I also want to point out that we have a presentation on the golf course here for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about the Q&A at that point. The question was basically, you've already figured it out. Everything's already designed. Why are we talking about this? I don't think that's necessarily true. I think we are at a point now where we have done nothing but evaluate the extent of the area, the neighborhood, and we're here to listen to feedback on what you all think should be invested in this location, both the Lake Arbor Center as well as the larger site. So nothing's been done other than us gathering information and listening to a survey that's out and a public feedback.
And you guys are getting paid, and how is that money where is that money coming from, and who is directing that money?
So our presentation does talk about how the sales tax dollars versus the other funding for the golf through the enterprise fund. So we will touch on that in a second, but I wanted to mention one thing, and then we'll go into the golf presentation, and then we'll start talking specifics about the golf course, and then again do the Q&A. But this master plan, again, like we've said before, nothing's been decided yet, but it's absolutely important that we get your feedback, because our recommendations are what we're going to present to City Council to help put together a budget for the next 5-10 years. And so these are very expensive improvements, so we don't take it lightly, and we really want to hear what the community, what their priorities are, some of the amenities. It's not just the facilities, but it's also the programming at these that we think that's really underutilized right now. And then the Lake Arbor Center could become more of almost a neighborhood regional meeting place. And again, we could have fun, other amenities there, but the clock is ticking on that facility. The building is not up to, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but it's not up to current code, and we can't run the preschool program and have the pool open at the same time because of the code requirements on that. So that's kind of why we started with that, and then we're wanting to take a much broader approach to the golf course and everything else. But let's hear from our Deputy Director, Derek Kuhl, and he's going to kind of address the golf specific questions.
Can I just ask a question? No offense to you people.
I don't take offense to any question.
Why wasn't an
Can you
Arvada
give them the
firm hired
microphone
as
so we can
opposed
hear
to
them?
a
We
firm
can't
out of
hear 'em.
Lafayette to do the work?
Hello, can you give her the microphone? We can't hear her.
Yeah.
She asked, why wasn't a design firm out of Arvada hired to do this? Well, it's all Metro Front Range here, and so we have design consultants that work out of Denver, and they all provided their proposals, and the VCN, the Parks Department, reviewed all of those proposals, and we felt this was the best team to work on this project. So that was our subject matter experts who determined which design team would be working on
Why
this.
couldn't we have had input before you did all of that?
On the selection of the consultant?
Well,
Well, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's finish the presentation, and then we'll take everyone's questions.
What's the address for the center?
Do you guys know the address?
this place was 8,600. It's on this form.
Yes, it is on the flyer.
I don't have the form. 7451. 7451 what? West 83rd. Oh, that's the swimming pool. Oh, okay.
That's the Lake Arbor City Council.
Yeah. Fantastic. What's your hand? What do you get your hand out?
Oh, yeah, they're on the back.
Can everybody hear me? Hello? Hello? I'm Derek Cool. I'm the Deputy Director of the Parks Department here at the City of Arvada. Pleasure to see all of you. How many golfers do I have here? All right, I don't need to give this presentation then, I'll just walk out. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm happy to talk on behalf of the Arvada golf team right here. I'm not a golfer myself, but I'm not a pro, so don't watch my swing at all, please. I'm actually thinking about going from right to left-handed. Also not a stand-up comedian. So I wanted to talk, and really ground us first and foremost about Arvada Golf and restaurants, how we operate as a business model across the board. So both courses, as you know, Westwoods and Lake Arbor, are owned by the City of Arvada. We operate within one enterprise fund that's set by city charter. And so within that enterprise fund, all of the revenues generated by the golf courses and the restaurants are supposed to pay for the operating expenses, any of the debt service, any of the future capital investments at both properties, Lake Arbor and Westwoods. And so that's something that I think, not a whole lot of people know about, but also very important to realize that it's all within one bucket of funding, the Golf and Restaurants Enterprise Fund. So the next point that I think gets confused, and I hear about it a lot, is, and many of you that are golfers probably already know this, is Indian Tree is owned and operated by Apex Parks and Rec District. We work as collaborative partners with Apex all the time. Hillary is wonderful to work with, she's over here. And we try to strategize and work with them on a regular basis to provide the best possible services to Arvada residents across the board. So just wanted to clarify that. Another point, and I think I heard it from over here, is enterprise funds like the Golf and Restaurants Enterprise Fund do not receive tax revenue from the city. We are operating off of the fees that are generated at the golf course and the restaurants. Of course, there are some internal services where, like myself, HR, legal, IT, they provide some support in helping out with the staff at the golf and restaurants, but tax revenues is not what's funding all of the operations here at both golf courses. And again, we're tasked to operate like a business. We're looking at long-term financial projections upwards of 10 years to make decisions moving forward. And so really want to make sure everybody understands that financial resiliency is something we care very deeply about. And so when it comes to setting the price of a bucket of balls, or what are the green fees Monday through Thursday at Lake Arbor versus Westwoods, we're thinking about long-term financial resiliency and the future of both courses when we're setting those fees each year. So with that said, long-term financial resiliency. I'm sure as all the golfers in the room realize, up until the pandemic, so dating back to 2019, there was a little bit of a lull in the golf industry nationally across the board. We had the peak with Tiger Woods in around the year 2000 to 2002, where golf rounds played were at all-time highs. Then there was a bit of a dip as far as play across the board, across the country. That led our enterprise fund to really, make some hard decisions across the board as far as what we needed to kind of put aside as far as investments on the course, in the restaurant. And there were a number of unfunded items across both properties that kind of stayed on those two lists for Westwoods and Lake Arbor. We've been very fortunate since the pandemic to experience record amounts of play at both courses. So 2021 to 23 to 24, we've had a record number of rounds across Westwoods and Lake Arbor, which is wonderful. And so really we're trending in the right direction. But with that said, based on the history I just laid out, we do have a number of unfunded, unbudgeted items at both courses. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of them here. We have the maintenance building here at Lake Arbor. It's actually the oldest public building in the city of Arvada that has not been updated. Out of all the buildings in the city of Arvada, we have, as I'm sure many of you have seen, bunker renovations that are needed actually across both golf courses. We have plans for wanting to improve, trees across the board at both courses, cart path repair. You'll see, renovation right there, with the course being open to play in 1974. You could make some arguments that past its useful life for updated, remodel, redesign, renovations at the golf course. Clubhouse improvements, drainage, equipment additions, and then maintenance road repairs here at Lake Arbor. And then some of the others on the Westwood side, very similar. Clubhouse, cart path, parking lot. We've been out to Westwoods on a busy day recently. You'll see that, we really need to increase the size of that parking lot out there. So just wanted to ground everyone about these are some future investments that we need to make in both properties across the board. So this, probably a little hard to read in the back, but this is, I love this slide. So this dates back to 2006. So it's talking about golf participants that are off course or on course. So the definition, this light green line of an on-course golfer is really your traditional green grass golfer. It's somebody who goes out, books a tee time, comes out, plays 18 holes with a golf cart, and just playing a normal round of golf, whether it's here at Lake Arbor, Westwoods, Indian Tree, across the board. And you'll see how that's trending. That top number is 30 million golf participants in the United States, downward into, and a little bit back of an uptick into 2022 here at the end. The dark green bar are all off-course golf participants. So the definition of an off-course golf participant is someone who's usually a little bit newer to the game, somebody that goes to Topgolf, that uses a simulator, that does putt-putt, so really non-traditional golfers. And you'll see this dark green bar kind of exponentially increasing up to 2022 and actually surpassing the number of traditional green grass golfers in 2022. So again, this comes from the National Golf Federation Foundation and their research, and this is something that all municipal golf courses across the country are looking at, investigating, researching, planning for as they think about the future of their golf course properties. So with that said, I mentioned the word Topgolf, and depending on who you are, I know that can be exciting or you can roll your eyes if you've been to that experience. And to that end, yes, very expensive.
It's expensive.
Very expensive. And so I think one of the statistics I've seen is Topgolf counts on anyone that walks through their front door, whether they're hitting balls or not, they're counting them as paying $50 an hour, whether it's a kid, an adult, whether they're hitting balls or not, relative to food and beverage across the board, to your point. It's a good
No,
one.
if they have food and beverage, that's a minimum if there's 4 people, about $200 that they're expecting you to divide between 4 people, plus your $50 a person for 2 hours.
You got it. Absolutely. It's a wonderful, wonderful
They
point.
have enough Topgolf.
But-
They
but-
have one up there and one down
Right,
there.
right. Way up north, way down south. And so, but to that end, so getting back to, if we'll go back to the one slide, if you don't mind, Sean. Off course versus on course. Just another thing to keep us grounded is the number of those folks, and I'm not saying they just play Topgolf, they're simulators, there's a variation of kind of Topgolf light where you have some of those technology elements involved in hitting balls at the driving range. The number of folks has actually surpassed the number of traditional green grass golfers in the United States in 2022. So just something, again, to keep us grounded. So if we can go back to the forward one slide. So with that said, there's a lot of courses across the country that are planning for this, and they want to strike that balance, right? Which is, we want to continue to have green grass golf. It's traditional, that we're all accustomed to, that we grew up with. But are there ways to improve the experience either from a short game standpoint or a driving range standpoint, that we can capture those that we saw in the dark green bar, right? And so some of those improvements are, you can see here there's a little bit of food and beverage. There might be a high top table at a driving range. There's a screen that would be up here on the post. There's a shot tracking device that's telling you how far you're hitting it. Go to the next slide. That's some of the technology there. There are options and ways to improve the driving range experience. I think if anybody's been out here to hit balls at Lake Arbor recently, we don't have that at the bays across the board. We don't have that technology. But these are things that we want to share with you as the community to take in and understand. Would these sorts of amenities be of interest to all you golfers across the board? Would your neighbors be interested in it? Would your family members be interested in it? So if you can go to the next slide there, Sean. Here's some more across the board. And you can go to courses across the Front Range that have, a variety of some of these improvements, whether it's the overhead, whether it's a screen, no screen, whether there's a high top table or not. It's all about amenities to keep people interested in the game of golf moving forward.
I have a question. Green Valley Branch has, you could take this, it's not a very big.
We can't hear what the question is being asked by her. Yes, thank you.
Green Valley Ranch has a driving range, and it's bigger than Lake Arbor's, but they do have the simulator type things where you're hitting a ball on a driving range, and it can calculate your ball and this and that. It's kind of fun. It's part of the golf course. Also, some of the golf courses out south, you could turn this driving range into where you do have a little, like floor simulators where you make it kind of fun with benches and tables and that type of thing, and they have things to get into. They have some of the, when I've golfed out south in Alabama and some of that areas, they do have a few of those on a range plus a regular range. So you got the regular plus a few for families that want to come and, but this isn't a very big area, but I imagine you could, if you want this, you want income, you want money coming into the course. You can balance it out, but I just can't see this whole thing being cut up, and I don't know, how you could go about doing all this just to make more money.
So thank you, great points. And yes, I think it's about, planning for the current customers and residents, and also looking forward and projecting into the future. And so you're right, the property and the space of the driving range is limited. You probably wouldn't be able to put 40, 50, 60 bays out there. But the ability to improve those amenities for current residents and then future residents and other customers, like, I'm sure there's some people out, Central, South Arvada, West Arvada, that, are looking forward to these sorts of amenities and activities with their family. And so it's all about, planning for the now and into the future as well. And so, but those are wonderful examples.
So if I can just interject a little bit real quick. In your information that you send out to the general public, it says stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? I thought the City of Arvada is a stakeholder to Lake Arbor Golf Course. And not only, with that being said, I sat with Bruce in meetings when, at one time back, 7 or 8 years ago, the goal of Lake Arbor was to break even. Now, I looked on information, public information, and I may not have used all the correct platforms, but the average golf course now makes $3.5 million before we were just to break even. So with that being said, $3.5 million being made now, I don't understand where is there a problem to develop what you guys are trying to say. And the ballpark, they never use that ballpark. That ballpark seems to be the city's issue on solving something that's going on with the golf course that really has nothing to do with the golf course.
Thank you for the points and the questions. And so one item in particular, so speaking about the $3.5 million on average, and I think there's probably a lot of truth to that. And I mentioned dating back to 2021, golf across the country has seen this incredible resurgence. Lake Arbor and Westwoods have experienced that as well. And so I think last year the enterprise fund netted $1.1 million across the board. But if we go back to the unfunded list, there, Sean? So these are all, golf hasn't always been netting $3.5 million per year. Just to throw that out there. I don't know exactly the statistic where that came from. If you were to total up very high level, these unfunded needs across the board, that's about $6.75 million worth of unfunded needs, unbudgeted needs right there. So when we're talking about financial resiliency, it's making these improvements, making these repairs across the board, and ensuring that we're doing it, in alignment with what the community wants. And that's what we're really trying to do right here is with this master planning effort, with this community engagement effort, is we don't want to make improvements that the community doesn't want.
So who are the stakeholders?
Oh, stakeholders, yeah, I'm sorry, you asked that question first and foremost. So I believe the stakeholders you might be referencing, we had a meeting with a virtual meeting with the HOAs, and I believe that's what was listed as the stakeholders on the website, there was representatives from each of the HOAs that, I don't know if you have the map that you can show. Here, that border the golf course, kind of and the center and the pool, the main primary area, those HOAs was that group of stakeholders that you were referencing.
And what were the stakeholders asking?
Really, we did a kickoff meeting to kind of set the stage to make sure we were getting all the contact information for everybody. And so we did get a little tiny bit of feedback about kind of wants, needs, desires relative to the center of the pool, the golf course. But we were kind of informing the stakeholders at that point in time of what's coming next relative to the timeline.
So with that being asked, what is the general consensus of the stakeholders of all the HOAs? What are they asking?
Well, that's what we're trying to get to, starting with this open house. And we're doing a survey to kick things off.
But you guys seem to have a plan already without the stakeholders.
Yeah.
No, a lot of what you're seeing already on the board, and there's a lot of ideas, that's visioning. These are ideas to generate some really good, positive conversation. And so no decisions have been made yet. This is master planning. And so this is community engagement, and you guys are how we make these decisions moving forward and recommendations.
I ask you guys, as a city, one of your major beefs looks like is there's a ballpark there adjoining to the pool and the community center that I've golfed here for 16 years. Has never been used. I watch maintenance guys come out there, cut it, stripe it, they stripe it, and nobody ever shows up to play. What is that?
So that's why we're here to talk about those amenities. That space is not being used to its full potential. We agree that the baseball field, the multi-use field, is not being utilized like it should. I think we have maybe a small group that maybe youth football occasionally, but I think that space in particular at the Lake Arbor Center could be reimagined, if we reorientate the building or we put other, amenities out there. That's what we wanted to hear from all of you. And again, this is to get your feedback. No decisions have been made. And then I'd also like to say that our golf users are our stakeholders as well. The general public are our stakeholders. It's not just the big groups like the HOAs and Apex Park and Rec. They're our partners, but our stakeholders and our community is what we really want to hear from all of you.
Have you asked to have a meeting with just the golfers as a stakeholder?
We had a pop-up event last month, but this is our big kickoff meeting to hear from the golfers. So that's why we've really been trying to get the word out.
Let's get to it.
I'm gonna hand the mic back.
Do you
Or
have
big
data
question.
more current than 2022? Is that what you're basing all your decisions on?
Which specific data were you looking at? Oh, the
You had a
golf,
graph.
the golf right there.
And the newest data was 2022. That was kind of a long time ago.
Correct, and I know a lot of that kind of gives in arrears, but that's from the National Golf Foundation. I believe it was released 3 or 4 months ago. And so they'll have the 2023 data. It'll probably be another year, but you could see that trend line.
They're slower than the federal
Question here, another question.
Okay, I'll go around and take a few of the questions. I think the idea here is we'd like to now open it up to questions. There's obviously a lot, so I'm going to do my best to be fair about whose hands are up. And you've got one teed up. I'm gonna hand the microphone. Someone always told me don't let the microphone go into the crowd too far because I'll never get it back. But if you want to use it to ask your question,
I am loud.
okay, I can either or I can repeat
They
for
can
you.
hear me way back
Yeah,
there.
because if I lose this, I'm
I used to call my daddy
out.
from the back pasture.
Fair enough.
I got two questions. Number one, is there any talk about closing the golf course either in the near future or the far future? An honest
I think I know the
and
answer.
I want an honest answer. And
Beyond?
And preface this, I am not only a golfer, I live in, just outside of those stakeholders. I live in Lake Arbor, I live off of the actual Lake Arbor.
Great question. The honest to goodness answer is no. There has not been any indication by anyone I've talked to, decision maker, city manager's office, any politicians, that there is any desire to stop golf at Lake Arbor or golf-like activities at Lake Arbor. No. Well, so that's what, the question was about 18 holes and whether or not 18 holes would continue to be there moving forward. And so that's something we would like to hear from you all. Again, no decisions have been made, but we want to understand further about the golfing experience. Is that important to you? We have heard different things from, the entire community, from people that come through the pro shop about, a shorter, quicker golf experience versus a more traditional golf experience. So this is helpful. This is helpful feedback. So we want to hear from you.
The shortest golf course in the area. And the quickest. I know, rangers still like that. I have second question. My second question has to do with senior citizens. I look around and I see there's quite a few in my age category and below. There's quite a few of us seniors. I hear all kinds of things about preschool play and pool play and all this kind of stuff. But it seems to me, as I have lived in Arvada for 30 years, that you leave the senior citizens pretty much out of all of your planning.
And that's one of the reasons I think the survey is very important. I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Derek said.
What'd she say?
Repeat the question.
She's asking about, she made the comment that there's a lot of things in our pictures that refer to youth and play, and there's really, the City of Arvada through this process has left out a lot of the senior users, and I think that was something that the group that could hear the comment echoed. I would say this, someone also told me never ask for a straw poll in a room of people, but again, as a straw poll, just because I would encourage you to go to the survey, because that is the most quantifiable information that we're going to be able to get and categorize and say, this percentage of people said they wanted this, they wanted 18 holes of play, so that's the thing that we're going to take to City Council as well.
Qualifiable, why are we doing it?
No, I want to hear from this group, how many people in this room believe that 18 holes of golf play is incredibly important at Lake Arbor?
Absolutely.
I would encourage all of you to also go to the survey and restate that information as well so that we have good feedback. I understand that. I understand that. Okay.
Seniors aren't good with QR.
We're going to run the mic back to questions now. We'll talk to this gentleman over here. Wait for the mic.
Ma'am, I wanted to say one more thing about how there was a perception that the seniors are not getting the services they need. I know golf is a very passionate subject, and then the Lake Arbor Center kind of gets eclipsed by this conversation. But the community center at Lake Arbor Center could have more, specific programs and everything else for our older residents. So that's, again, I know we're asking for comments on a wide variety of things, but please go to the survey and put your inputs about that as well. Not just the golf, but
See, I wish the city would stop hiding behind surveys. These are seniors. Everybody doesn't have a computer, or everybody's not literate with the computer.
So-
Can you just use this as a platform to say, this is what the people want?
that's a very good point, and we are recording this meeting tonight so that we can be shared online or with city manager's office or city council. But the surveys are a great way to get a quantitative, analysis of everyone's opinion. And so if you don't have access to technology, a computer to take the survey, stick around. We have tablets. We even have some paper copies that, if people need help.
Put them in the pro shop.
There you
Great
go.
idea.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll take that into consideration. We really would love for folks.
today, so
Yes,
it's hot
we-
off the press.
So we really encourage you, if you can, to please use the online survey. But we understand that not everyone has access to it. So we are making accommodations to get everyone's feedback in a variety of ways. So I just wanted to touch on the comment about our senior citizens.
There's a thing called need and use. Last time I looked, Apex had at least 10 locations for exercise, and between Apex is huge. We have so much recreational facilities in the city of Arvada. We only got 2 golf courses. Now, this way out of proportion here.
Sir, we can go to your question next, but this gentleman had his hand raised. We're going to hand the mic to the question asker so everyone can hear.
And then, yes, make sure to ask your question to the microphone so we can all hear it.
This really isn't a question, but it's more of a comment very quickly. Number one is there seems to be kind of 2 projects going on, 2 concerns. One is with the golf course. The second one is, quote, a project, and I always envision a project has some sort of end thing. It's not just a project, but there's an end. So there's a project, or there's a concern from the city about redeveloping and remodeling the area where the Apex, or where the community center is, and where the early childhood development center. That's one issue. The second issue that I think most of the people here are concerned about is the golf course, and is there going to be updating of the golf course, etc. They come from 2 different funds.
Correct.
So and that hasn't been explained very well. So you've got this mishmash going on of golf course and redevelopment, and then the HOAs, and there's been a lot of information that's been passed along that there is going to be some HOA has more influence about what's going to happen, including a dog park and redevelopment and all these kinds of things. So I think that needs to be clarified. I would like some clarification on that.
You're absolutely correct. It does seem like there's 2 totally different projects, but when we hired our design team to help us with the community engagement, we felt it was prudent for us to talk about both projects with the community, with our engagement, open house meetings, with any surveys or any other public gatherings as a group, as one big master planning project, because there are connections to them. I know it may not seem like it, but we want to increase connectivity, pedestrian connections between these spaces, and that's just one element that we're looking at. But I know that people are very passionate about golf, and maybe they don't have kids that would be in the preschool program, or they're not going to that pool because they have a different pool. A lot of our HOAs have separate pools, but it is it's a city-owned asset that we want to get everyone's opinion on before we do any kind of budgeting or any long-term plans. And so again, both projects are very early in the planning stage, and this is our opportunity to get everyone's feedback. And no decisions have been made on what's happening on either site. But thank you for clarifying that, yes, they do seem a little separated, but we want, since this community, it's in their backyard, we wanted to address it comprehensively all at once.
Question?
Thank you. The need and use standpoint. Anyway, I just look at all the recreational facilities that we have in the Arvada area, it's kind of overwhelming total numbers, and that doesn't really include Jefferson County. But we have a real, in my opinion, shortage of golf courses. We have Indian Tree, Westwoods, and here. But still, we've got to look at how many people really depend on the golf, as opposed to it's way outnumbered by all the various places in which you can go for recreation.
Very dumb question.
My question would be, who was here first? The golf course or the HOA?
Golf course.
Yeah, the golf course. So why has HOA got more power to get things done than us people at the golf course?
$35 a freaking year.
Before we take the next question, I do want to point out that members of the women's golf team, our club, were invited to the stakeholder meeting that we had in December. We did have a member of the men's club attend that virtual meeting. Again, that was just an information gathering meeting. They don't take more precedence, any of those HOAs, over the golfers.
How many ladies were invited?
They were invited. I was provided with leaders of each. Again, no decisions. That was just an information gathering meeting. So we'll take the next question. Anyone else have a question?
The ladies golfers.
No, we didn't know about it.
So
Just-
can I ask a question before you move forward?
Let me address this gentleman's comment first. I wouldn't say that the HOAs have more power over anybody else. The city's here to listen to everyone. So, you know, I just want you to understand that, like, there's no one pulling the strings behind the scenes on this. We're here to listen to everyone and get everyone's input. We understand the golf course has been here for 50 years, long before a lot of these homes were built. And we take that very seriously. So no one has more power than anything else on this, sir. So I just want to let you know that the HOAs were just one aspect of the people that we're asking their opinions for.
If they don't like it here, they want to change everything, get the hell out. This place was here first. They don't need to be pushing their way around.
So if I could just ask a question, what brought you to this point today?
Sorry, sir, we do have someone with the microphone.
So we're going to turn it over to this gentleman first.
I'll be just a minute, Derek. I just had a question on your graph where you showed the light green, dark green, and you kept referring to it as a national. Do you have any data that just shows Lake Arbor's players, the grass versus?
I don't think anybody's gathered the data of off course within Arvada. That'd be another
Yeah,
survey.
so to
we've
me
learned
that-
not to go there, but
Yeah.
I think your point is we can cross-reference that
Okay,
with the
because that graph
demographics
could
that
be
we're getting.
skewed because you're talking nationally.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I had was just, I felt pretty good about the one gentleman that said, who was asked, is this golf course gonna be here? And he said, yes. But then I lost a little confidence when they asked if it was gonna be 18. So I'm glad that that's being recorded, that he did say 18. That's all I
No decisions
have.
have been made on anything.
Okay.
While you're going to the next question, I just wanted to also point out with the HOA comment, not to dwell on this, it was really just customary when you're looking at a project in a certain area, any city requires this, anybody that borders a project that's under advisement is notified of that project. So we sent the information to basically the representative from each OA to simply say, this project is about to start, be aware, if people are holding public meetings, encourage your residents to participate, just like we're doing with you all. So I think that was the extent.
Were they positive, negative? What was it?
If I'm being very blunt, 95% of the conversation was anger about balls in yards. So now that we've opened that can of worms,
You buy a house on a golf course.
I said the same thing.
You don't want to have balls in
I grew up on a golf course, I get
That's like buying a house by an
it.
airport, not one here today.
That's why I used to shag all my balls to go play when I was a kid. I just wanted to close the loop on that question.
Hello? Can I have your attention, please?
Yeah.
My question is, you keep talking improvements, you want improvements. Well, what you can do is go 8 blocks from here, there's a field out there that there's nothing happened but dirt. So why don't you take that over there, there's a nice lake, you can oversee the lake, there's plenty of places to walk, and leave this alone.
I will say one of the purposes of this meeting.
Microphone.
Yep, I need it. I'm trying to shout.
And I really want to get, and she's been asking me, and I will get, because I want to make sure that we're covering this. What I want to get to tonight, and we very much appreciate the feedback, and it's been respectful. I want to make sure we walk away from this conversation not just referring to the challenges with the golf course question, but talking about what might go on that field. What would you do to improve the Lake Arbor Center? I think we have a lot of feedback on the golf and field of play in the golf course. But we should talk about opportunity tonight as well. If we want to make improvements, are there things that this community would like to see that would live in that area that we showed you that doesn't refer to golf in any way, shape, or form? That would be wonderful to walk away feeling like we have that.
The balls go over there, people are sitting in the shade, with their families, the ball hits the roof, nobody's harmed. And they can have access to the community center, the pool. I mean, I don't understand that. You guys are engineers.
This young lady has a question. I'm going to go ahead and let her shout out too, and then we'll try to answer that.
Go, young lady. Go, young lady.
I just want you to know that I have lived on the 6T box for almost 50 years. It is my home away, this place is my home away from home. Every one of you are my friends and fellow golfers. I do not think that we need to make any changes in the golf course. Now, as far as golf balls in backyards, the people bought a home along a golf course, and it's just not our problem. It's their problem. And I'm sorry if they are inundated with golf balls in their yards, but they can sell them. The other thing is that it's just not conducive to Lake Arbor or the city of Arvada to really do a big project at this facility, this location. I am all for improvements and all that, but I think you ought to leave Lake Arbor Golf Course alone as it is an 18-hole golf course.
I want to make a correction. Never buy a home on the slice side of a fairway.
Did I miss anybody before I handed the microphone? I'm so sorry, sir.
I agree with what Jane said, but I do think there are improvements on our golf course. For 5 years, there have been 3 holes that have been mud, almost halfway along the road.
Yes.
I thought there was. There are 3 holes that need improvements. There's been mud on those 3 holes for several years. And no matter what they do, it's not grass, it's mud. So I think we can improve those holes, and I think Lee could help you with that.
To that point, if both of these golf courses operate as one entity, why has all the money been invested in Wadsworth?
Yeah, that great question. And so, the renovation to the clubhouse in 2018, I know that was part of a plan that was in place well before I was here. But I do know that, there were plans to, revisit, put together a master plan relative to Lake Arbor Golf Course. And I don't have the full history about one being before the other, but we're here now. And we're here to talk about master planning at Lake Arbor Golf Course now. What improvements would you all like to see, if any? And
The list has
similar items on both sides, which indicates they're still gonna spend money at Westwood. So why not invest and catch up with Lake Arbor and fix the things that need to be fixed?
Yeah, another great question. So the question was, there were items on both lists for Lake Arbor and Westwoods, and why not target those Lake Arbor ones prior to the Westwoods ones? Is that correct, the question? So, great question. And again, this is an unfunded list, an unbudgeted, unprioritized list at this point in time. Like we said, golf has been on this wonderful upward trend dating back to 2021. So we have been growing and improving our financial position after 15 years of, golf courses across the country struggling for those revenues to pay for all the expenses, not just operating, but capital investments and debt service. And so we're finally getting close to a time to we can start tackling this list. But this forum and community engagements like this are very, very powerful in being able to prioritize investments at Lake Arbor. So we would use the survey, we would use what we're hearing in this open house, we'll use future engagements with you guys in the public to prioritize those investments across both courses.
Well, it seems like the junior field that sets a journey to the community center can be developed, and it doesn't have to affect the golf course. If you were to build 3 or 4 long gazebos where families can come and sit in there, you can make a little park atmosphere, it's connected to the swimming pool. It has nothing to do really with the golf course. And this can be safe for everyone. Not that many balls are hit to where the junior field is right now anyway. Nobody really hits balls over there because the tee boxes have been relocated to make it safer. So nobody really hits a ball into that field. But if you covered it, it's shaded, it's connected to the swimming pool, you can have a park atmosphere, kids can get to the playground. I don't understand how this affects the golf course. And one more thing, how does this affect taxpayers who live around in those HOAs? When you guys do your redevelopment, does that affect their taxes? Do they go up? Do they go down? Does their property value go up? Do they go down? Hello?
So you have a few different questions. I'm gonna try and answer the first one, and then when it comes to our park improvement fees, if it's related to any kind of tax, and I'm gonna defer to my deputy director. So, both of these projects probably will not be built at the same time, but again, we were just taking advantage to get our local community's input on the Lake Arbor Center while we're talking about the Lake Arbor Golf Course. And so, I'll be honest with you, if we do nothing to the current Lake Arbor Center, the community center, the pool facilities, we spent a lot of money last year to make short-term fixes. And there is a vocal crowd that very much loves and wants that pool to remain open. They may not all be here at this meeting, but to them, that is a big priority. So if we did nothing, 5-10 years from now, those may be shut down because they cannot, the community center, where it's a preschool program that Apex manages. So doing nothing is not really an option on that part of our site. So we really wanted to get your feedback on it because it would be a big budget item to rebuild a building to meet current codes. And again, the pool, unfortunately, there were short-term fixes, and it's not a long-term solution. So now the way we generate, park development fees and off sales tax, I will have to defer to Mr. Derek. Those were great suggestions. Absolutely, that space could be used in that manner. Absolutely.
Sir, I love the energy. I love the questions. Is your name Derek, by the way? My name is Derek. So I knew we had a connection. We're right there. No, great energy, great questions. I really appreciate them. And I think to what Derek's saying, we want to hear about that. We want to see that written down. We need that feedback. We want to hear it on the survey. We want to hear it on the postcard. I can't predict for you if you made this improvement near hole number 12 or 7 or 17, you're going to have this sort of impact to property taxes. I don't know. Again, nothing has been decided. Nothing has been funded. This is all part of master planning. I'm sure we could go over a series of case studies of where there have been golf course improvements and property values have gone up, and thereby taxes go up, but nothing has been decided. We're here to talk about wants, needs, desires of this property.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to me. I'm out here, guys.
Thank you, Derek. Always good to see another Derek.
I got a question. Where can you access, one second, this has been waiting patiently.
I'm a homeowner over here, and I wanted to say the only problem we have with golfers, which is I would be willing to bet none of you, are the newbies who get out, think they're Rory McIlroy. They are not. They don't know how to play. They're rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. And those are the people that the golf course needs to identify. And the problem is they don't play every single day, like a lot of you do. They're weekend warriors, and that's the problem. And I cannot get out on the golf course and play very well because I would be booed off. I'm a pitiful golfer. But we appreciate all of you who are wonderful, very friendly, but it's the newbies. We've got to get rid of those, or at least get their skills up to speed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We need our golfers to help train the next generation. Tell them that what's proper etiquette. It's a.
If you notice somebody on the golf course being horrible, call here. I'll get you. Good. I do. I'm loud. Okay, good.
I think there was someone.
Shirley here wants to know what you plan on doing, either, piece apart the golf course somehow in order to make I don't think that swim pool, I lived in Arvada. I went to Pomona High School, and I remember that was a brand new swim pool, and I became a lifeguard and everything else. That did not have a daycare center in the swim pool area. There was no daycare center and preschool in the swim pool area. I don't think that's a place for a preschool. I think that there's a better spot. But anyway, how do you want to piece apart this golf course, or take apart the golf course, or make it a 9-hole or whatever? What was your plan? Where were you going to, when you're dividing up this golf course or rearranging it? Surely you want to know how they were going to.
How are you going to change Lake Arbor 18-hole course? That's what the majority of people are here for. Right. And so far, I taught school for 27 years. I haven't got the answer. How are you going to change Lake Arbor 18?
How are you proposing?
How are you proposing to do that? And I appreciate you guys in all your efforts, by the way.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I just want to respond to that question. That there seems to be a perception that we're going to chip away parts of the golf course to build a bigger pool or a bigger, community center. That's not what we're discussing here. I think the spaces down there at the Lake Arbor Center is adequate to address the needs of the pool, the community center. If a new facility goes in there, that's not going to interfere with the golf. I could put your concerns to ease on that.
So 18 holes is going to stay.
No decisions have been made about any changes to the golf course. We need to get all your opinions, and then we will present this to City Council. I know. But the reason we're meeting with everyone is so we can present this feedback to City Council, along with some of the other voices that we've heard, and there are 2 more community engagement meetings coming up. So again, we're just getting started on this process, and again, no decisions have been made on anything right now.
But you have talked about it, haven't you? You've been talking
Change the
about
subject. What I want to bring up is, I just found out, and I moved in here on November 19th, 1973. I just found out there's a restaurant here, and that it's reasonably good food, and that it's priced reasonably, according to some of the folks here. I've never been, and part of the reason for that is because this is not advertised. This is not advertised as a community place. And for people who think of it as only a golf course, many of us have lived here for many, many years. My kid who's now in his 50s, was one of the ones who went to Pomona and Macon, was on the golf team, went to state. You know, that kind of stuff happens. But the issue is we're not talking that. We're talking this entire area. And how do we as a community get knowledge about things like there's a restaurant right here, and that we're invited, that we don't have to be members of the club. And some of that kind of stuff, when you're starting to look at how do you get people involved, it has, the HOA sometimes mentions it, sometimes doesn't. It hasn't mentioned this at all. And you're not in my HOA.
She's only the president, for God's sake.
But this is what I'm saying, I know the HOA. This is what I'm saying. People need to get involved in their HOA on a regular basis. And eventually, we know this about our community. And but when we come in the first place, 50 years ago, and we're busy working and getting degrees to get promotions, etc., to get into women's live and all that other stuff, back in the 70s. We don't necessarily become active in HOAs. We become active in our work-related environment, and then we go after we retire, which has been in the last few years. So I'm just bringing that up.
I just wanted to, those were great comments, and then we'll give it to this, the gentleman in the back who's been very patient.
The lady right here that has a question, she's been there for a while.
Just bear with us. You know, there are a lot of people who've asked to speak. But I wanted to say that part of this community engagement is to let people know about some of these amenities that they might not have known about. Like, a lot of people weren't aware about the pool community center being a city-owned facility that is, you know, available for them to use. So I agree that we need to do a better job getting that out to the public, and this is just the start of that process. Thank you for being patient.
My name is Brian Bailey. I live on that guy golf side through the city. Me and Bruce Powell.
Speak louder. Can't hear you.
Oh. I don't like the spotlight. I can hide in the shadows. So I was on that golf advisory committee through the City of Arvada for about 8 to 9 years with Bruce Pellin, and we went through all the community stuff with Les Woods and all that. You know, it was a monthly meeting that we went to, dealing with Gordon, dealing with Steve Lyons, Rick Diaz, which I encouraged to come visit here. I said, you're the general manager of all the restaurants in Arvada. And it's just kind of an isolated course in a lot of ways. It was Bruce and I, and we kind of felt like we were the only ones representing Lake Arbor Golf Course. And that was brought up quite a bit. This is really the first that I've heard of, you know, talking about manipulating some of the holes over here in the back nine, number 16 and 17. I guess with some of the school closings around here, when we're talking about daycare centers, you have Moore Junior High right up the road here that, I mean, working with the city of Bar Elementary, there's baseball fields down there, there's tons of room. I mean, those to me would be better options than trying to reduce this golf course into a lesser than an 18 hole. I don't know of any other golf courses in the state that are 9 holes or 18. I mean, would this be the first 15-hole golf course in the state? So I think that would really be a disservice to the golfers here and the city of Arvada, honestly. As far as golf balls and yards, I don't know if there is a golf yard that I haven't been in. So I do carry extra glass insurance. I guess the other the other point I want to make real quick when they're talking about rounds played and golf being at an all-time high and stuff after COVID, I don't understand. I brought this up at a lot of the meetings with the city, with Steve. Why did they cancel in the membership for all the seniors here? That I mean, it really doesn't really bother me. Like, this really is a second rate for a lot of people. Those are the people called super users. And I would bring up in meetings all the time that I said, these guys come by here in the wintertime when there's snow and the parking lot is still half full. And Westwoods and Indian Tree are different animals. So, yeah, so this lady gets the microphone.
Does anyone from our design team want to respond to that question? Or they were all really good comments. Or should I take another question?
I was just going to say thank you again for your time with the GAC. Really appreciate it. And that's excellent feedback about, you know, the fee structure, the passes. That's feedback we'd love to capture tonight as well. So if you have that feedback, put it on the survey, put it on the postcard. We would love to hear that. Thank you.
I'll work my way towards your questions.
Hi, thank you. I live, my backyard is on the golf course. We've lived here for 40 years.
Hold it closer.
I live on, my backyard is on the golf course. We've lived here for 45, how long? Two things I just want to say quickly is that someone mentioned about recruiting young kids. I have seen the pros here go to Little Inn Park when it was open and take a time in the kids' PE classes to show them that. So they're doing a really good effort with that. So there are places that they're trying to bring in new kids. Those kids I have seen on the driving range. So those things are a community benefit, right? Regarding the preschool, again, 4 or 5 people just left. My kids went to preschool. They thoroughly lived in the pool in the summertime. To change that, it was just that too much, because now these adults have kids who are in the preschool program. So what you have is benefiting everybody. So you've got to keep it all. And there's a way to do that.
Thank you for those comments.
There's been comments about all these shrinking the golf course, cutting down the number of holes, all of that, and I still don't know what's going on. Some people say no, some people say yes. But the one thing I don't think you've heard is there are multiple leagues that play at Lake Arbor, and there's a lot of work that goes behind that. One of the things is setting up handicaps that are approved by the USGA, and so if you cut it down to 12 holes, you can't do that. So when you're giving feedback, pros and cons, put that on the list, please.
The other thing is the high schoolers use this a lot.
And again, this public engagement is to let you know about our survey so you can give us this feedback so we can be qualified.
Which is a perfect segue into my question. We have a lot of people here that will know about the survey. How will all the other people who either golf here or in the community will have access to the survey or know about it so they can participate? So that's a real important thing. And then the other thing I want to say, it's so clear to me, just maintain the integrity of this golf course and make the improvements. That's simple.
Thank you. So the city did go to great efforts to get the word out about our survey. We mailed like 1,900 postcards to all the residents in this general area. We have our social media feeds through the city, through our Parks Department, where we've been trying to spread the word about this. So we hear you, and we're doing our best to try and get everyone's.
What's the overall time to completion for both these projects?
We don't have any schedule planned right now yet. there's no funding allocated for any of these changes right now. So we're through the summer, we're doing kind of these planning, master planning, design concepts on both sides of these projects. So, but no, we don't have any long-term plans yet. Thank you for being patient with us.
Where can you access the budgets for Westwoods Golf Course and Lake Arbor Golf Course? And with the preschool, what is the cost recovery currently for that preschool and the activities there? And then what's the estimated cost recovery percentage going to be in the future if and when you do improve that?
We were on the microphone back.
All right, so I'll start with the golf question. So, would direct you, and of course I can follow up with you afterwards. I mean, is the city's website, the city's operating budget, has detail about the enterprise fund, the operating figures, the 10-year model, the financial projections for Arvada Golf and Restaurants in there. So there's program pages. I think there's about 7 pages each year that are updated with the budget process. I don't have like a lot of that off the top of my head, but I can tell you that 72% of the golf revenue comes from Westwoods in 2024. 28% of that comes from Lake Arbor. So I do know that statistic.
Is that on the graph? I couldn't find
No,
it.
it's not on the graph. That was the golf participation.
No, your budget, when you go in and look at the 10-year budget, it doesn't split out the golf courses, does it? It's all combined.
On the 10-year model, it's one enterprise fund, so it's golf and restaurants within there in the enterprise fund. But if that breakout is helpful, I would love to hear about that, because that is something we can absolutely present at the next open house. We're going to do a couple more open houses, and if there's interest in getting into the weeds a bit with Lake Arbor and Westwoods and operations and the financials, we can put that together. So
Estimated cost recovery?
I was going to give that to Hillary at Apex, since Apex operates the center and the pool.
They're letting the Parks and Rec girl talk. Okay, so with regards to both the preschools and aquatics, our preschool is at about a break-even model. The reason why is Apex has identified licensed programs and providing childcare services to our community is a high priority. So that's something that we don't shoot to make a lot of money on. The private sector, for those of you, I mean, I have small children, the cost of childcare is astronomical. And so it is our priority to keep prices low and so people can access our programming. So we're in a break-even model there. As far as aquatics goes, aquatics, just nationally speaking, is a heavily subsidized area. To operate a commercial pool is very expensive with the cost of lifeguards, et cetera, et cetera. Last year, we lost about $50,000 on the pool for the summer. So, but again, aquatics is one of those high priority things identified in our strategic plan as communities need them. Apex was based on the foundation of drownings in the community, and so our mission and value is to provide safe pools, teach kids how to swim. So those are heavily subsidized areas for us.
That was some great information. Thank you, Hillary. All right, I'm gonna run back. A few other people. Who would like to speak?
So I think it's important to remember that the Lake Arbor Golf Course, based on its length and its relative ease of play compared to many, if not all, golf courses in the area, lends itself quite nicely to both beginners learning how to play as well as seniors still being able to play. So it doesn't seem to make sense to me to consider the idea of taking what is already currently the fastest and shortest 18-hole course in the area and chopping it up or altering it or doing something to it in order to make it a fast golf course, when it already is almost certainly the fastest and relatively easiest 18-hole course in the area. So I think it doesn't make a lot of sense to alter what is already the great benefit of it, which is both beginners and seniors.
some vision boards on the community center. So I'm assuming you've already done some visioning on the golf course. Do you have those renditions for us to see? Are they available anywhere online? And is this information that you have for us tonight online anywhere? And then two, you're talking about the golf balls and backyards. There's what, maybe 50 houses that are affected by this. So are you going to have 50 homeowners affect 40,000 plus golf grounds in this year?
40,000 volts. You just asked what they mentioned, we just conveyed what they said, so take it as you will.
Oh, right behind you.
Yeah, well, let's let the gentleman behind you ask your question, and then we'll answer both at the same time.
So just a little bit of background that I think is important as you go through this. Lake Arbor's always had a unique relationship with the City of Arvada. We're bordered essentially on two sides by Westminster, and for 40 years, our community's been given beautiful pictures of the Pomona property. And it's still 40 years later a pile of dirt. So if you're sensing skepticism from the neighborhood, it has a lot to do with that long-term relationship between this community and the city, and feeling that other parts of the city, including Old Town and the West Side, get all the attention and the money, and up here where they really think we're part of Westminster, we get ignored. So I think understanding that skepticism, I think, is really important.
Yes.
Just one thing, I just wanted to ask. So the prices keep going up for us to play golf. When you guys get done, what's going to happen then? I'm on Social Security and disability. So what's it going to do? It's hard for me to pay for golf now. What's this going to do?
All right, I'm going to make my way back to the front. Let the golf experts talk. There were a few questions there. One was about affordability. Last gentleman. So the city has looked at the Pomona parcel. I know that that's a whole separate project, but I understand any confusion or doubt and why that hasn't been developed. And I'm not here to talk about that space, but internally for parks, we did look at some options for it. But the costs of it were kind of prohibitive, and our city council decided to postpone that. Some of the same amenities that we were proposing are located in other parks in the immediate area.
Yeah, and I believe you had a question about visioning at the golf course. And so this dates back to, I believe, the presentation to City Council, and the City Council workshop was in 2021 or 2022. I'm sorry, the start of 2022. And the city has 3 golf course architect on-call contracts that have been held for the last 4 years. And so as part of that presentation to the City Council workshop in 2022, there were some high-level renderings and concepts that were presented to City Council in 2022. So I can locate that link to that meeting from 2022. But really, I think that hits at what you were talking about as far as like visioning.
Is there nothing's been done with design concepts?
Nothing has been done with design concepts. So what we're here to do today is to take that inventory of wants, needs, and desires, and to help that to inform, future schematics, future conceptual designs, including the golf course. And so, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to go out and start the design process without any community engagement. And so that's what we're kicking off today, to that point. But yeah, we have a couple of future open houses that we're going to put on the schedule. And so those are the types of things we could talk about at those open houses into the future once we have your... I'm sorry.
Will they be at bigger venues?
Now that we know, yes. Yeah.
Hi there, I got here late because I'm working, and I am a person who has lived here abutting the golf course for 18 to 20 years. And it's a very important part of my daily existence. I was part of the work that Arvada did ages ago when it was an Audubon conservation.
Put the mic in front of your mouth.
And I can't reiterate, I speak for many people who aren't here right now about how important having some continued sort of wild access is. As far as like the pelicans out here, great blue herons, snowy egrets, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, all of that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure
Yeah, to repeat that question, I believe there was a desire to ensure that any possible future improvements to the course follow our Audubon Cooperative Sanctuary certification program, in which Audubon International is a national program. We are certified in maintenance practices that we do in terms of taking care of the course, and so it was a rigorous process to become certified, and we get recertified, I believe, every year, maybe every other year, and that would certainly be part of any future improvements. I don't want to speak on behalf of the decision makers, but I think the city is in favor of that sort of direction, and there would be no reason why we would go away from it. Next question in the back. I think, did you have a question, maybe?
Couple questions. I came in a little bit late, but I noticed the study area kind of serpentines around a little bit, but it includes the apartments here. Are there discussions I mean, is there potential for things to go on there for improvements? How big are your eyes? Also, there's a number of areas nearby, our preschool, more preschool. How wide, I mean, how big is your vision on some of these issues for this master plan?
So to answer several questions there. Can you speak to what you feel is the appropriate size for the preschool, what the maximum amount of space of that size can handle?
Yeah, the current site that we have has 17 kids. It's a pretty small, reduced site because of licensing requirements. Obviously, licensing requirements have changed over the scope. Having said that, we have huge wait lists for our preschools, and we would envision potentially, with some modifications, opening up to summer camp. We have about 300 kids sitting on our summer camp wait list right now. Somebody mentioned something about the empty schools that Jefferson County has shut down. We are partnering with Jeffco Public Schools to offer summer camp at Fitzmaurice Elementary. So we're already starting these, and we still have a wait list. So obviously we have site, restrictions and licensing requirements, but we certainly have a high demand for licensed care in Arvada.
Those are really good comments. I apologize, I forgot your first question. Did we answer everything for you?
I noticed the study area includes the
Yes, Castlegate Apartments. Yes, we have reached out to them. They have been involved in this process. We put up flyers all over the property, reached out to their management company, the representative there at the Castlegate Apartments. We'll continue to reach out to them. They are what we would call a stakeholder. They're surrounded by our golf course and our other amenities, and we want to hear their voices. So, absolutely.
You're not really, you don't have ownership of that or interest in that, because the other delineation is right along the edge of the fairway, and there's people on the outside perimeter as well. So was that just maybe a flaw in the little dot that you have around the study area?
Well, let me address a part of your question, and we can look at the pedestrian connection map. But the people who live at Castlegate, we've heard from them, and the playground is very important to that community. So, right now it's not that old of a playground, but if we were to do substantial changes to that facility, the playground may have to change. There may have to be a a separate play area for smaller children as part of the preschool program. But absolutely, those amenities are very important. It's what we've heard from the residents of Castlegate. And then if on our, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna take a step back. The connections between our communities around the golf course, that is one of the challenges, is the pedestrian connections. People have to drive well out of the way just to get to the Lake Arbor Center. So that was some of the things. We know we don't want public walking through the golf course, so we don't want to create these conflicts, but looking at the trail connections is a big part of our study.
One more clarification. My understanding is the golf course is the City of Arvada, but the pool and rec center is Apex, correct?
No, Apex runs the facility for us. We have a partnership with them, but the Lake Arbor Center is owned by the City of Arvada.
Suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
There is some communication gaps, obviously. Why don't you advertise with the water bill? All of Arvada gets a water bill. Everybody who lives in Arvada gets a water bill. Why don't you advertise some of this stuff that we're not getting the information on the water bill?
You can.
You
can.
That's a great suggestion.
It's a great idea. Of my pay grade, yes.
Are you talking specifically for this project? Or?
No, I'm talking about like the fact that there's a restaurant here. The fact that this project,
Space is limited in the water bill, and we try to use it very strategically because it goes out to every resident. We could certainly consider some promotional items in it.
I see all kinds of stuff that are
Utility related.
for the west side of Arvada, and I feel like I'm an orphan over here. In fact, I get more information from Westminster than I do from Arvada. I get all kinds of things from Westminster. Every day in the mail I get stuff from Westminster. I get practically nothing from Arvada. And
That's AI.
That's AI.
But specific to the water bill or utility bill, that's a great resource that goes out to the entire community, and certainly always worth checking in, making sure if there's anything worthy going in it.
Arvada use both golf courses. Yeah, it's not just people that live around here. I don't live anywhere near this golf
I think it's a good suggestion for our next open house. We'll make sure, and for the survey, we'll make sure we advertise if we can. Okay. That makes sense.
I'd like to take just a minute and introduce myself. My name is Jim Sanborn. I grew up in Arvada. I started playing golf in 1972. I was hired here at Lake Arbor in 1975. I went on to play college golf and turned professional, and eventually came back here and was a head professional here in 1995. So a lot of the people here I know. I've seen the change to the golf course. I've seen the change to the clubhouse from Jeannie's upper deck. I used to throw Brian Bailey off the golf course for being out there running around. So I appreciate the golf course, and I like what's here. In my career, I was 25 years around the state of Colorado, so I was responsible for golf courses, golf maintenance, and food and beverage. So I'm fully aware of what goes on to run and make a facility successful. I would say this team has heard loud and clear from the golf population here that they don't want change. So with that, I would say, remember, the program was broken up into two parts. It was the Lake Arbor Center and the golf course. So the feedback that you have needs to convey to the center. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for information on what to do with that center. It's dilapidated, it's run down, and it needs to be changed. The golf course is secondary, and I think that as you go through, you've got an opportunity to fill out information here. You've got an opportunity to scan a QR code. You've got an opportunity to go online and make your voices heard. They heard you loud and clear. Go out and do it and make it known. And if you don't know how to get online and do it, get somebody to help you. There's plenty of people that would be willing to help those that don't know how to use computers or cell phones. I would just say they heard. You guys are loud and clear about how important Lake Arbor is. Get your information in a format that they can use it. Thank you.
Did our closing for us. Thank you. Thank you. He's been a shill all night. He's been sitting here waiting for that one. And I think I'm gonna let Derek close this down. It sounds like again, we've sort of heard loud and clear. I'll echo the feedback. I did want to also point out there was a question or comment. All of this information will be posted on the city website after this meeting. So if there's anything that you want to go back and look at, it will be available. We have been recording this meeting, so everything that was said and everything that was expressed will be part of our intake of information and our plan. I really do appreciate the feedback. Part of it was rough going there for a bit, but I feel like we did hear it loud and clear. We make pretty good sounding boards. We don't take any of this, we take this to heart. We hear things and then we convert them to information for your community, your study. So I want to make sure it's clear that there's no ulterior motives. No one's going to take this and go run off and go rogue on this plan. This is why we're here, and this is what's going to guide our study. So I think there's a lot of information that we still have to do before we're ready to come back and present to this crowd. I'm going to be blunt. We better have our game on. And so you will see some information relative to the feedback, both on the course as well as the community center and pool. And so I encourage all of you to participate in that survey. Again, find a way to be a part of that because we want to get plenty of feedback. We don't want it to be vague. We don't want to go to council and say, yeah, the survey didn't really tell us anything. We want to come back and say, we've got our marching orders and the folks in this room told us where to go. So I think that's important. So I'm feeling pretty confident that we now know some of the things. I appreciate Hillary's feedback as well from Apex, kind of recognizing the need for preschool and some of that programming. I appreciate some of the folks that talked about the pool use and how that's important to the community as well. And so I really do feel like, despite a couple of speed bumps in the beginning, I feel like this was a successful exchange where we feel like we heard a lot of things. I hope you all got your questions answered. And I think we very much appreciate this relationship we struck tonight. And I hope to see all of you again at the next open house. And hopefully, we haven't said it yet. So we will advertise it the same way we advertised this. I promise you will find out about it. Yes. Thank you all, and have a great night.